It has come down to this. Star versus Meteora. Only one will walk away. But who will it be? Spoiler alert, it's Star. Welcome back to Mewni Mayhem on the Roundtable. I'm AwestruckVox, and we're only 2 days away from the Season 3 finale of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Like Season 2, the Season 3 finale is an hour-long comprising of the episodes Divide and Conquer, and it's all about Star's final confrontation with Meteora. Now, let me explain how huge this is, considering they're dedicating 2 episodes to it. With the Season 2 finale, Face the Music and Star Crushed, Face the Music was mostly set up, Star's Song Day, bonding with Criger, and her song exposing that she lost Glosteric and the Book of Spells. Meanwhile, the B-plot was Moon looking into Ludo, taking matters into her own hands to find the Book of Spells and discovering he has his own wand, and he has resided in a monster temple, but not just any monster temple, one Meteora grew up in for a brief period of time, meaning this temple likely belonged to Eclipsa's husband, who we speculated in the past to be a monster king. And while the Rebariate part set up Star Crushed, it's really only Moon's plot that carried on into the next episode. You can consider Star's Song Day and actually talking with Marco to be 2 separate plots and 2 separate events. But here with Divide and Conquer, it's all the same plot and it's all the same event. Star trying to find Moon and Mewni trying to face off against Meteora. To be frank, I feel as if this concept could be fit into a half hour, and 11 minutes for facing off against Meteora, but they decided to not go that route, instead opting for an entire 40 minutes, 2 full-length episodes to properly flesh out everything, and that gets me beyond excited. But something that worries me and makes me pretty anxious is the fate of Meteora and Eclipsa. Meteora's on a rampage and more than likely cannot be reasoned with, while Eclipsa, she was crystallized for about 200 years, only now being a free woman, but she hasn't been able to enjoy that freedom. She's been too worried looking for her daughter. And as we saw with last episode, Eclipsa is not afraid to get physically involved with the conflict, intercepting Moon's attack on Meteora, and out of sheer impulse, she either would have incapacitated Moon or destroyed her entirely. Hell, for all we know, this moment right here could have been foreshadowing and setting up the end of the season. That whatever Eclipsa did here will be finished in Conquer. And yes, I do think it's a very real possibility that both Meteora and Eclipsa could die in the season finale. Star vs. the Forces of Evil is not above killing characters. Hell, we saw Lekmet and Toffee die. One's a protagonist and the other was an antagonist. Granted, we all know Toffee's gonna come back, but Lekmet, he's dead. He's had a funeral and everything. Not to mention, Glosteric also died for a period of time. But with Eclipsa and Meteora, their plot lines could be finite. To be completely honest, unlike Toffee, who definitely has a lot more to explore, I don't know what else they could do with Meteora. She had an interesting concept, yes. Being the daughter of Eclipsa, her memory being completely suppressed, recovering said memories, and deciding to take back the throne of Mewni. But Eclipsa herself admitted they are no longer rightful heirs to the throne, that a lot has changed. And I don't think Moon or Star opposes that, so Meteora's just going on this rampage and can't be reasoned with. If anything, both Schooled and Tough Love have established that she would be a terrible ruler. She's out of her mind, she's cuckoo bananas. Thus, her as a queen would be boring. I feel as if they would just make her the generic evil queen. Whereas before, the thought of Meteora becoming queen made me think, alright, monsters would get more rights, maybe we could finally see some human-monster equality, and if that was the overarching story of season 4, Meteora actually not being a terrible queen and things getting better, I would have been all for it. But it's obvious that's not the route they're taking. Thus, it feels as if it's her time to leave. The only other interesting thing left for her would really have any ties to Toffee, or exploring the possibility of her father being alive, which we talked about in a separate video. Check it out if you haven't yet. And beyond all of that, let's acknowledge they've wrapped up most of Meteora's plot lines. A lot of the things her character was built around no longer exist. She has no interest in taking over St. Olga's. Her obsession towards Marco seems to have faded away. Not once in taking the throne has she mentioned eliminating Marco. I'm sure their confrontation in Divide will wrap up that arc, but it's definitely definitely not at the top of her priority list. Gemini is dead. She ripped out his heart to reduce Rassicor back to an arm. The status quo around her character has just been completely eradicated, and I don't see them going back on that. It can't just decide to revert back to normal heinous with Gemini and an arm of Rassicor. That'd be repetitive and boring. As for Eclipsa, I still feel as if there's a lot they can do with her, but her main conflict and intrigue has kind of been resolved. That, of course, being is Eclipsa evil, which I think tough love without a doubt resolved. She's not at all. What she said to Star in Stranger Danger was true. What she did in the past is what she had to do for herself, her own sake, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's evil. As for her dark spells, at the very least, Eclipsa in present day isn't evil. We don't know anything about her past. That can be explored. We don't know anything about her monster husband. That can be explored. Her mentoring Star to get a better grip on dark magic. That can be explored, and that's a plot line they basically dropped. Ever since Star's wand got fixed, her trying to get a grip on both normal magic or good magic and dark magic was just faded away from the show. We can learn why Eclipsa did create those dark spells. And of course, any familiarity she would have with Toffee. Perhaps even his true name. Because I find it hard to believe Toffee would know about the Monster Temple, about Eclipsa's chapter, but not know her personally. But again, in Stranger Danger, Star mentions Toffee and Eclipsa has no reaction. This could be an oversight. It could be Eclipsa hiding some kind of secret. It could be she merely forgot Toffee. But I think it's more than likely Toffee is not his actual name. We know Eclipsa has an affinity for sweets. Perhaps for Snookers she really enjoyed the candy toffee. I don't know, that's speculation I could talk about in another topic. Don't want to get too ahead of myself, but bottom line, there could be a connection there. So even if her main conflict is resolved, we still don't really know anything about her past, her upbringing, just like Lekmet. In fact, in the book Star and Marco's Guide to Mastering Every Dimension, Lekmet's purpose was left a mystery. I thought that was setting up something, but then he died, with no trace of coming back. So that tells me they aren't afraid of killing off characters without fully exploring them and fleshing them out. So again, Eclipsa is on the table to die even if she has potential and unsolved mysteries. On that note, the synopsis for Divide and Conquer mentions that Star needs to destroy Meteora, that she's out for the kill. Make no mistake, the aim here is to take Meteora's life, and we know Star does not shy away from killing. But if tough love is any indication, Eclipsa's emotions may get the best of her and she may interfere with Star, just like how she interfered with Meteora and Moon. But in the promo for the season finale, Eclipsa does lament getting involved with Moon and Meteora, that everything could have stopped if she hadn't gotten in the way. Now Moon's all messed up, Meteora's on a rampage, and everything is wrong. Yeah, from Eclipsa's shoes, that is terrifying. You didn't want to see your loved one die, especially your own daughter, yet it feels as if you've only made things worse, and now more people's lives are in danger. But there are a few avenues I can see with both Eclipsa and Meteora's fates in the season finale. One, Meteora dies, killed by Star, and all the souls she sucked return to their bodies. And whatever happened to Moon is reversed. Two, Eclipsa kills Meteora, not letting Star carry that burden, and feeling as if she's responsible for all this, that she failed Meteora, that she could have given her a better life, and she doesn't want anybody else to take away Meteora's life. Three, the show decides to not kill them off, but rather bring everything full circle by both Meteora and Eclipsa getting crystallized. That's right, Eclipsa hits the crystal once more, deciding she doesn't want to live without her daughter, but also doesn't want her daughter to suffer either. So she decides the crystal is the best route to go. 4, they only crystallize Meteora. Eclipsa is sad, but it's a fair compromise. 5, both Eclipsa and Meteora die, but by Eclipsa's own accord, applying what she did to Moon upon Meteora. 6, a more ambiguous resolution, where Eclipsa casts a spell from her dark chapters, faces her daughter, and they vanish. It's ambiguous if they lived or died. And finally 7, Meteora is simply defeated, but not killed, rather imprisoned for the rest of her life. Eclipsa is content with this resolution, not happy, but acknowledging this is a better outcome than anything, and moves on with her life. Now, anything else, like heaven forbid Meteora being redeemed, would definitely rub me the wrong way. Even if she did have a horrible upbringing she did not deserve, the way she's been handling everything is not right. She's hurt and more or less killed a lot of people. Thus, despite how nonsensical, wacky, and straight out sci-fi fantasy the show can get, it needs to have realistic consequences. And those consequences will prevent Meteora and Eclipsa from having a complete happy ending. There's going to be some give and take, but this is where I turn the conversation to you guys. What do you think? How do you see the season finale playing out? Do you want Meteora to die? What about Eclipsa? Let us know in the comments below, or tweet those thoughts directly to me at AwestruckVox or at the Roundtable on on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Roundtable Vids. If you want to help us grow, consider becoming a member on Patreon. For just $3, you can get your name featured at the end of the video like all of these beautiful, wonderful people, and so much more. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to stay in the loop with all things Star. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. AwestruckVox out.